us when the band was hot. And now we're gonna give it one more shot. We're getting old, we must be crazy. We're putting on the makeup again. It covers up a bunch of wrinkled skin. You bring the bread, we'll make the gravy.
You keep on spending, we'll keep on singing. I used to rock and roll all night, but now my hair's turning gray. I have to get to bed by 9. Rub on a tube of Bengay.
I haven't picked up my guitar for a while, not since them hula hoops went out of style. It's been a while, I'm pretty rusty. We'll give you everything we got.
Would you like to see my liver spots?
Can you drive us home if we get sleepy?
If the shirts keep on selling, we'll keep on yelling. I used to rock and roll all night, but now my hair's turning gray. I have to get to bed by 9. Rub in a tube of Bengay. I wanna rock and roll all night, but I can't stay awake. I like to rock and roll all night, but then my body would ache. I'll try to rock and roll all night. If there's some dough to be made, I wanna rock and roll all night, but I get drowsy by 8.
My wine bottle's low, watching for the snow. I've been thinking lately of what I'm missing in the city. missing a thing. Watching the full moon crossing the range. Riding the storm out. Riding the storm out. Riding the storm out. Riding the storm out. My lady's beside me. She's here to guide me. She said that alone we finally found home. The wind outside is frightening.
Audio input capture. Okay. Ken, give me a voice check. Steve. Okay, can you guys hear that? It'll take a while for them to get answers back to us, but Ken is in space. Steve is on an island, and Max is in paradise. Okay, I think they can hear us now. Now there's sound. Yeah. Okay. So when I upload the video capture teams, I have to go down and turn on the audio input separately. It's technology, always a dangerous thing. Well, hello, Blue Troopers, and welcome to another scintillating episode of the Max's Models live stream with, of course, Ken and this other fellow here. Steve, and fortunately, teams was kind enough to put our names in the bottom, so you know who everybody is. And don't worry, you won't have to look at us too much longer because I have pictures. Whoa, too soon. Okay, what? They can't hear you? All right. Well, hold on. Let's see if this works. See, it's funny because when you guys talk, I'm getting the little green bar moving here. All right, let's try this. Audio input.
Steve, I've seen that background before. I think it's famous or something, isn't it?
Beats me.
Oh, no, that's...
I've noticed that some of the people on some of my chats at work use that.
It's pretty standard. I mean, they give you, I guess, about 10 or 12 of them to pick from.
And I think that's somebody's house.
My boss picks this one all the time.
All right. Okay.
She lives in the James Bond lair.
All right.
Okay.
I turned the Yeti microphone on, so it's hearing my speakers.
I see.
So at least they can hear us. You guys aren't getting like a double feed or anything, are you?
No.
Okay. Now let me try.
It says we're both on, but Max is a little loud.
All right.
But otherwise it says 5 by 5.
Okay.
Loud.
Okay. Oh, I can. I'll move the microphone further away from me and closer to the speaker. Okay, now let's try it.
Radio check next time.
All right. Well, you and I were hearing each other fine. Apparently, somehow the audio is not. Oh, I wonder if something I did in Teams. Okay, somebody's got their volume on because I'm hearing me in the background.
Oh, that's on my phone. Yeah.
Meanwhile,
the people who design Teams, if they're watching this, they go, and this is exactly why we didn't want the public to have it.
Yeah. Okay, so pitching Manny Moda. Max needs an IT puke. Yeah. Ken, they're calling you.
Oh, no. No, this is all you.
Okay. One thing I have to remember is a screen capture, so anything I put up there goes right onto the thing. Like if I do a pull-down menu, they see it also. So, which you're probably seeing on your screen right now. Anyway, okay, so now that they can hear us all, today what I figured we would, the nice thing about using the Yeti, though, is that if I turn off the video for some reason, we'll still have audio. So let's do that test real quick. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Guys, give me a count again.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Ken?
1,
Okay.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
It's so weird to watch yourself from 20 seconds ago. That was the me then, not the me now.
Steve's almost inaudible. Okay, I'll just sit closer.
Let's see. I can turn the volume up here a little bit, and I can turn the volume up here. Oh, this will help. Okay. Now, give me a 5 count.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Oh, yeah, that's booming.
1, 2, 3, 4,
Enough.
5.
Okay.
1.
I think we're there. So.
Jam says, OMG, I'm blind.
The two things we're going to talk about on today's live stream. First will be, for those of you who build model airplanes, if you remember Revell's famous 1/32nd scale fighter series that came out in the mid to late 1960s, which I believe... What?
Yeah, I read it. I saw it. The crowd says, Ken has a background that makes me want to smoke a joint. Something tells me we don't need Ken's background to have that happen.
Well, you know, it's funny. When we were all teenagers, you went to prison for that, and now you can buy it down at the corner market. I always knew that was going to be... When I was a police officer, my one claim to fame is I never wasted time busting anybody for pot. I always felt that was... You know, I was much more interested in getting drunk drivers off the road. We need the... How do we control the vertical? Okay. Why do I spend the day setting stuff up? We never stay on target around here. So, the thing we were going to talk about today were the 1/32nd scale kits from Revell. Now, I don't know. I know a lot of you guys built model airplanes and some didn't. These kits, when they came out in the mid '60s, were kind of the top of the pecking order. There, you know, like I say, they were over $3 a piece, which was. And I know it sounds comical today, but I was a kid as a little boy because my older brother built these kits, and I was like, if you were a teenager and you had a job and you could afford a $3 model, you were like a grown up. You know, you could afford $3.
Back then, that was a lot of money.
It was. And the model series, I always wanted them. I could never afford them. And I was always buying the $1 1/48 scale models. Most of them were Jack Linwood artwork for Revell. I mean, he made a small mint doing that series for them. And, of course, it's his typical cram the box. But there were 3 of them in particular that I thought we would talk about. Because when I was a kid, I was like, these are the pinnacle of model building. Yes, yes, yes. Oh, you know. And then I got got old enough I could start buying them. And the first one I got, because it's the one I always wanted, was the Spitfire. And I wanted the Spitfire amongst other reasons because the box art. To me, I've said this several times, I think the box art on the Spitfire is just the best box art ever. And that's a Linwood, and there's something about the way the sun's hitting it and the camouflage, the way it's banking. It's a perfect angle for a Spitfire. And what are you snickering at?
Nathan says, okay, Ken, you have to find a background of a yacht so it looks like you're sitting on your yacht.
Yes, you need a background of a boat, Ken. Yeah, then you can lie to us and tell us because you actually own a boat.
It won't let me pick a background. I mean, my own. I can only pick what's there.
No, you can download photos in there. I've downloaded them in here.
Yeah, you can.
It'll let you select a photo and import it. Absolutely. Now he's going to spend the rest of the live stream going through his photos, doing that, making us all seasick. So anyway, when I got the kit, I took a lot of time and effort to make it. Now the decals are really thick and really old. They work, but you'll see from some of the angles of the photos up close, they don't hold up that well. What I was disappointed in was somebody told me, those kits, even though they were kind of top of the line at the time, they really weren't all that great. And I was like, heretic, you'll be burned at the stake for saying that. And then I remember being disappointed when I went to buy one, when I could finally afford one. They'd already switched over to the they'd gotten rid of the box art, and they had switched. Ken, you went away. Oh, he's looking for another background.
It said it wouldn't affect it.
Yeah, it lied. What are the odds? You know.
If you did it right, yeah, no, it wouldn't.
Yeah, okay. So anyway, by the time I got one, they had that white box look over and I was like, yeah, you know, I mean, it's okay. You see in the finished model, but somehow it just lost something over the box art. But then I built the model, and I got to admit, I was the box art evolved over time, and although it got good, I'm glad they went back to it. Of course, they also had the Seafire. But the model wasn't all that in a bag of chips. It had some fit issues on the ailerons, on the canopy, and I was just, you know, a little. I understood what people were saying. Don't get me wrong, you can make a really nice kit out of it, but it takes more work than I expected. It's not a Tamiya kit. Now the newer ones, I'm sure they cleaned up the molds and everything, but I have mine on the shelf. I love it, and I just, but that was the one that got me hooked on this series of models. And also another one, my brother had the artwork up on his wall, and the other one that I really liked was the 109. And Mike and we talked about this on Livestream before. You know, you got to take it off in this extremely cold airfield, you know, with the snow on there. You can feel the biting cold, the looming dark sky, because, you know, the Reich is near its end and everything. These guys are fighting a losing battle, trying to turn back the 8th Air Force, or in this case, probably the Russians. And but I just thought that you know, that artwork told a story, and it got me hooked on the kit. And the kit, although I had fit issues, again, especially with the canopy, at least it fit a little bit better than the Spitfire did. I didn't have any real problems building it. And they, of course, they've upgraded the kit and kept it in production. But these were probably the two 132nd scale fighters above all others that I wanted, and you know, kept me hooked on that Revell series. And there was one other, and that I thought the box art just, you know, told the story. And that was the Wildcat, which, although again they went to photos of the model and then updated the artwork again in around 2000, but I think the thing that I really admired about the Wildcat, first off, it had folding wings, and apparently at one point they sold a version of this that had a retractable landing gear. And by the way, these are my builds. I did them years ago, but at least the canopy fit. This one did not have the retracting gear, but it did have the folding wings. And that worked. I mean, so you can pose it extended or folded. The problems when you fold them, they just want to drop on the floor. They don't want to stay, you know. Which, by the way, is on the real Wildcat. When the guys would fold the wings, they would have to strap the wingtip to the fuselage. It wasn't like later planes that had hydraulic pumps on them or anything. But of the three, I think this was the best fitting kit. But the artwork was outstanding, and it's actually, that artwork, by the way, is a actual real event. If you look, you can barely see Lieutenant Commander Jay Thatch under the cockpit. That's Jimmy Thatch's airplane, and he was a real ace. And this is one of the first times I remember mixing colors to paint the model, and it was I always thought it didn't look like the box art. The box art has an almost metal gray look. That photo is a later war paint scheme, but that's really more of what it should look like, that pale blue. Which, if you look at the model that I built, of course the Brits called it the Martlet, but that's the way the color came out, the way they told me to mix it, which I always thought looked a little bright, but apparently, you know, maybe I didn't fade it enough. But that's the way it was supposed to look. And I think of those three, it's the best. I have a couple of the others. We're going to talk about them in a little bit here with me. But then the other one I built as a kid was the P-51B. I built this one, the Shangri-La, and that was a good looking kit. I never built the RAF variant. But what surprised me is that, this is their big famous fighter series. They have all these great airplanes. But the one airplane they did not have until much later in the mid-70s was the P-51D, which is kind of the quintessential American fighter plane that everybody likes, just about everybody and their brother makes kits of. And the first one they made was the Miss America Racer, followed by the Bob Hoover Rockwell Flying Banana. They didn't make a military version until much later. And I'm guessing the rationale was there were simply too many P-51s on the market, maybe. They just wanted to do something different. But it always struck me as odd that their first two Mustangs were post-war civilian airplanes. And the other one that they did that was real popular, and also apparently some people think the best of the entire series, was the P-40. And it was a P-40E model. I don't think they ever made the B models that were in that scale that were like at Pearl Harbor. These are later war models, longer fuselages, different scoop. But Linwood artwork. But, and then later, of course, they went to the picture of the built model over a photograph, which just never made me want to buy the model. I think that was a mistake. I've heard different reasons why. And of course, the connection in 1941, irony being, as any airplane geek can tell you, is that in 1941, the airplane they were using was an E model because that's what they had, but the E model hadn't been invented yet. It would have, to be accurate, been a B model, but back when that movie was made, there were no B models. I was impressed that they went and got a real P-40. But from what I've read online, my brother built that kit, and I inherited it from him and shot it full of BB holes and made a crash diorama out of it because I was a destructive little 12-year-old. But, yeah, much better, Ken, much better. But according to what I've read online, a lot of people feel that this was their best of their 1/32 scale series. One airplane that they made, and this one came later, they made the Focke-Wulf, but they made the D model with the long nose and the inline engine that it looks like a radial, but it's not. I think it's a Umo, but I was kind of surprised they didn't make the better known A version with the radial engine. They did later on, but completely different mold, I'm sure. But the Focke-Wulf was, like one of the primary German fighters, and it came on very late in the series. The rest of the 1/32 scale models that they had, the Thunderbolt, the Seafire, those were around in the earlier points, but I haven't actually built any of those. I think my brother built a Zero, and it's a late model Zero, which is evidenced by the fact that it's attacking B-29, so it's late in the war. But way to tell a late model Zero at a glimpse is you can see the exposed exhaust pipes sticking out of the cowl flaps. Earlier models, they were inside. But overall, the series kind of was set the standard for 1/32 scale aircraft. And but can you imagine? And they also made more that I don't have here. They made the Mosquito, a big twin-engine airplane. Imagine that 1/32 scale thing's got to be enormous. And these things were real shelf hogs. But that striking Linwood artwork, as a kid, made you want to buy it. Even though the Thunderbolt is dropping his bombs going uphill. He's in the climb. They must have hung on the racks. What?
I think it's interesting that the Zero box art has a P-51 coming in ready to shoot it down.
You're right, and because the P-51s were the only things that had the range to escort the B-29s. So, the Hurricane, early war, it's a Mark I, so they're going after Stukas, so that's probably over Britain or over France. The P-38, you'll notice here, is being chased by what looks to be I think it's an Oscar, and that's was it the KI-43? I get my numbers in, but you notice there's a P-38 bearing down on him. Now, one of the reasons, and you'll notice he's got an engine feather. That's supposed to. That's Dick Bong's airplane. See the picture on the cowling? Excuse me, not on the cowling. The picture on the nose. That's Marge. That was his girlfriend, who he later married when he rotated stateside. And you see all the Japanese kill marks. That's Dick Bong's airplane. and apparently that Hayabusa is overbanking and breaking his gun solution because he probably sees that other P-38 coming in behind him. Of course, Jack loved to write, like to paint these airplanes in impossible positions because it looked good. Like he said, I'm not painting history. I'm a commercial illustrator. I'm selling product. So he got the action, crammed the box. So most likely, as close as those airplanes are together, at the speeds they're traveling, there's a better than even chance somebody's going to bump into somebody. Which, by the way, could happen.
I also noticed that he's got no rudder in. He's got no engine and no rudder.
Well, he may have just, he's busy. All right, he's got to get that prop feathered, which he's done. And for all you know, that may be part of his skidding maneuver.
That engine going, definitely he would get the rudder, and that engine is stopped.
Unless Ken, he knows, because he's an ace pilot, and of course I'm retconning this, but he knows that that's exactly what the Japanese pilot expects. He'll put a corrective rudder and make a nice clean shot. But by keeping the rudder out of it and letting the airplane swing around under thrust, he's spoiling the guy's shot.
Which means he's going to be going right into where he's turning.
Well, that's the Jap pilot's problem because that P-38 is a lot stronger built, I'm sure. And he's probably faster also, most likely pulling out of a dive or something. For all you know, that engine may be feathered as a decoy. Maybe he was down there playing bait. And there ain't nothing wrong with that motor.
Yeah, right. How many pilots do you know would do that?
Well, since I just thought of it and I'm a pilot, that's one.
Are you a P-38 pilot?
Oh, God, I would love to be, except I won't fit in one.
With people shooting at you?
All the more reason not to waste time with silly little things like coordinated flight, which just makes you an easier target. Trust me, Ken, I fly airplanes and I know things.
Yeah, I know. Yeah. I know a few things too, Max.
And you've been hanging around long enough with me. None one of them don't listen to me. Hey, see, there's the Thunderbolt dropping the bombs on the climb while he's still got his belly tank on, I might add. He may have just hit the wrong button. But, and the guy behind him's still carrying their belly tanks. So, but like you said, Linwood's not painting history lessons. He's doing commercial art to make guys like me want to buy the model, and he knows how to action pack a scene, and it's absolutely perfect.
Wendell says he's going to check. He says, I think Bond did that. I'll check.
Yep, every kit model discussion ends up in a history lesson. Then now the Seafire, one thing I've not figured out, the British did put the Spitfire on carriers. The Navy, the Fleet Air Arm got them, but they put that scoop on them like they had in the desert, and I've read up on that thing. I forgot the name of it off the top of my head, but I'm not exactly sure. I know they had to use them in the desert for filters. I'm not exactly sure why they put them on the navalized version. I'm sure they had a very good reason. They didn't, because it cost you some drag and a little performance. But the Seafire, or if you want to say just the navalized Spitfire, didn't do well on the carriers. It was never intended for that purpose, and it just didn't have the landing gear robustness and everything. So it didn't last very long before they moved on to aircraft that were made for carriers. Interesting. It'd be like putting a P-51 on a carrier, which they did do one time, but it just wasn't made for it. It wasn't a good idea. And there's the late model Zero, like you say, with the P-51 bearing down on the pilot. These guys are carrying drop tanks on an intercept mission, so there's mistake number one. But looks good in the artwork. And you see the one guy's punched off his drop tank, though. Oh, that's right. Yet picture hasn't populated up on your end. It will in a few seconds. But I don't know how good that kit was. My 1/32 scale Zero was made by some short-lived company. I forget the name of it. I'll hit Atomic City or something like that. But I'd forgotten that there's the drop tank, between the wing and the tail. So this guy's punched it off. He sees the Zero. That's why the Mustang. That's why he's banking away. Mustang's probably coming in on a right turn, so he's breaking away. And there's no way the Mustang's going to make the turn to get the other one. So that's going to be, if it's not a collision, it's just going to be a flyby. But the whole idea was to brush them off the B-29s, which they're doing. Remember, an interceptor's job is to protect the bombers. racking up kills is a bonus. And for the first year or two of the air war over Europe, one reason we didn't have a lot of aces was the fighters were just there to shoo the enemy away. So they didn't really rack up a lot of kills doing that. Later in the war, once we had total air dominance, Doolittle said, okay, before we can invade Normandy, we've got to have complete air dominance. Go and destroy the Luftwaffe. Now they were chasing the guys back to their home bases, deliberately going out and picking fights. The bomber guys weren't real happy about that, but it got the job done. But it helped that Linwood was a pilot, and he'd flown P-38s and P-40s and P-51s as an instructor, and T-6s, and he said the P-38 I think was his favorite plane. But that helps as an artist. Now, one thing that Mike Machat pointed out about this particular artwork with the Corsair, and you won't pick it up with the naked eye, but if you were to lay a ruler down on that picture and draw a line from the tip of the tail cone to the tip of the spinner, you'd see they don't line up. The spinner, the prop's actually angled down. And Jack did that as a visual cheat to make the picture look more interesting, more aggressive. It's only a few degrees, but it's enough to change the way, the impression of the photo. He does all these things on purpose, and it's just one of those great linen. Now, I have heard that this kit, the Corsair kit, I only know one or two people have built it, and I heard it's a little on the problematic side with some fit issues. The newer ones are much better, but we're talking about the kits that were made in the 60s. And all I know is, as a kid, I wouldn't have batted an eye at plunking down $3 for any of these kits, which would have been Christmas money. So,
there you go.
Anywho, but to me, that the Spitfire artwork will always be the greatest. So, okay, and we are back on screen, gentlemen. So stop picking your noses. So that was the. I just thought we would dig into the 1/32 scale kits from Revell that were, from my understanding, they were kind of game changers for the industry. They like I said, they broke the $3 barrier. They were in a scale that normally most kits were in 1/48 scale of that type of aircraft. They just sort of, when they decided to do that, they were kind of redefining the wheel there a little bit. And let me just transform, fit the screen. There we go.
The fact is, if you actually had $3 as a kid.
Yeah, well, like I said, that had to be Christmas money or birthday money, because there was no way Max was affording those things on his 30 cent a week allowance.
Mow some lawns.
Yeah, I can, because this skin's going to do a real good job in the Florida sun.
Oh.
We had a riding lawnmower, but my mom made sure, my dad's like, okay, go mow the lawn. Now, we had an enormous lawn, okay? A big side yard, backyard, another side yard, a huge front yard. I mean, you go, but I had a riding lawnmower, so that was important. But I had to do a push mower. But my brother can flip a bird with his foot because of a mowing the side yard with a push mower when it was raining. He slipped and his foot went under the lawnmower. Bobbed a couple of toes.
Okay.
So
that didn't make a whole lot of sense.
I'm sorry, it's a family joke.
Well, I got it.
It took the tips off of 2 and 4, but 3 somehow survived. So he,
of course, because it was the middle one.
Yeah, because so he could flip a bird with his foot. And Billy, if you're watching, sorry, you're never living that one down. I remember when that happened. But anyway, so
You ever find the missing toes?
you really don't want to go down that rabbit hole.
No, but the loans were real big in that spot.
It was they're just a wee bit shorter. And trust me,
He gets a discount at the sock store.
oh God, okay. And Now, before we go too far down the bloody rabbit hole,
Too late for that.
there was something that Steve thought would be a good idea to talk about tonight, and that is some of the weird Japanese kits. And man, when you say
quite a few,
yeah, there was no shortage of material to work with there. These are just a handful of randomly picked by Imai, and I know even though we're talking in real time, you guys have got it. There it goes, it popped up. So now I got to tell you, I was fascinated by the idea of the Saturn V on the trailer, the 1/3 scale Saturn V on the trailer. Now, just before we came on air, I could not resist. I started running around seeing if I could find a buildup of that kit. Now, this particular picture is all in Japanese. It turns out that what it says is Saturn V trailer. I don't know if the rocket comes with the kit or it's just a trailer. But I could not find, other than that box art, I could not anywhere on the internet find a single photograph of that kit. Not an open box, not a build-up, nothing. And I have no idea. I'm guessing that it was just a trailer from one of their other models or something, probably rebranded with some off-scale model. I don't even know if the model rocket comes with it. All I know is that has become my new holy grail. And most likely, it's like most of the Imais, it's probably more like a toy than a model. But
Something new from the Air Force.
yeah.
But all I know is if I don't find that kit, I'm going to kit bash one at some point. Basically, I could just take my Terra Cruiser, paint it blue, and slap a Saturn V on top of it. But I just thought that Apollo, and I was like, that was just, and woefully, because as everybody probably knows, the Russians do transport their rockets that way. We don't. Not to mention, if you look at it, you lay that rocket down, I guess the top's just going to sit on top of the cab. But I was like, okay, that's just too freaking cool. I'm sure if I ever find the kit, I'll be woefully disappointed in it. But the artwork is awesome. But I looked at some of this goofy stuff. I mean, I got to be honest, some of this stuff, like if you look on the left, the robot Indian and the robot sheriff. I mean,
The Westworld.
and I thought robot chicken was weird. Or the weird gorilla with the coconut bra on the upper left. I was like, I don't know what these guys. I don't know. It must have been sake time. I mean, donkey gorilla, donkey comma gorilla. I mean, pick an animal. First off, it just looks like a gorilla.
The Japanese have their own way of thinking.
Well, there were a couple I was going to put in here, but I just was running out of time. For example, they had like a King Kong with laser bolts shooting out of his eyes, melting a tank. And it was labeled Giant Kong Monster or something like that. I was like, oh, Lord.
Now that would be cool to have a house where a robot popped out of the top and a jet plane.
Yes, there would be, Ken.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I think that's called Secret Base. And I'm like, not much of a secret, but okay. Personally, if you look to the right, I prefer the RT unit with the German helmet and the laser eyes, but no rip off there. And on the far right, that middle UFO, that looks just like George Adamski's UFO, and the other one, the one below it, looks like the one from Plan 9 from Outer Space. I mean, the Star Command. I mean, this stuff is just so weird. Top center, the apparition car. Apparition? You mean ghost? I mean, this is some serious acid trip stuff here. And I don't know what the deal is with Mechana Kong's Mechana Beetle there in the upper right, but...
And this is all pre-Gundam stuff.
Oh, yeah. Oh, I didn't even bother getting into that because, I mean, the apparition and the apparition card looks like a drunken gorilla.
The Star Commander looks like a squished A squished Hitler.
Yeah, I think that's what they were going for. You know, oh, look at the Invader robot P06 with the clearly ripped off Darth Vader thing behind it. You know, again, more laser eyes. And you don't want to know what these things are selling for.
Okay.
Oh, hundreds of dollars.
Serious?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Big money.
Well, one thing, Ken, is there hardly any of them around. These, I believe, were simply made for the Japanese market. Judging by the fact they have virtually no English writing on them. Although, I just don't know. But most of this, I think, was made for the Japanese market, and it was just, the stuff, I don't know, it was just popular. Like you could, I guess some of it's cultural. They have a lot of television shows over there that we don't have over here. That was just where some of this stuff comes from. Yeah. But
Meanwhile, you know what you left out?
what?
The time tunnel model.
Oh, we talked about that though a couple of months ago. I found some pictures of one finally, and boy, you want to talk about cheesy.
Yeah.
Well,
I like the fact that it has the slides.
Yeah, it has slides, photographic slides. Okay, I am still not sure if this is supposed to be Monster Series Cyborg. Is this supposed to be a cyborg werewolf on the left, or just a weird? I mean, he's got like a banana skirt on. I mean, what's with the grass skirt or the leaf skirt and the werewolf toenails? And I completely don't get it. I mean, like you say, Ken, the secret base. You know, I mean, that's actually kind of cool. Very Jerry Anderson. You know, robots, rocket ships, cars, and what looks to be a picnic area outside on wheels.
With
Yeah.
the secret base, not a picnic table.
Yeah, well, you know, everybody likes a picnic.
Yeah, that is kind of.
I mean,
Yeah.
the staff in the base has to eat.
That's right. I assume it's a cartoon. I think it's a cartoon series with these weird TV things. And,
Now, the car that's coming out of the garage, I've seen a box of just that car.
Yeah, I'm
So-
sure there's an amalgamation of kits, you know, way
Yeah,
to
it's
resew.
got to be some. I like the one that's like a weird TV down at the bottom.
Yeah, that is part of one of their cartoon series. And it's,
That's right.
Hey, that Saturn V thing, that looks like it comes with a lunar lander.
It may.
And if you look in the upper left-hand corner, there's a yellow blob there, but when you zoomed in on it, it looks like the lunar lander.
It is a lunar lander, yeah.
It is a lunar lander.
But remember, I found this box in England, or actually when I went to ScaleMates, and it said Space Science Series Apollo trailer. So I don't know if the rocket comes with it or it's just a truck. And like I said, I couldn't find a picture of the kit anywhere. I am assuming that they're just like with the other bases, it's just something they kind of cobbled together of existing stuff. But that may be a complete mold that they made just for that. And
Well, it shows a lot of detail of the Saturn V.
it is really impressive artwork, all things considered, even though it's wildly off scale. Those astronauts, should be the truck and the astronaut. Well, I don't know. Anyway.
If you look at the middle of the rocket, just above it, there's the lunar lander and the command module mated together.
Yep.
And right next to that, it shows you how it's supposed to work.
Yeah, and well,
wonder if you put baking soda in it and it flies.
well, they were known for their toy-like stuff. It's funny you should mention that. I downloaded a picture I didn't have a chance to put here, but I'm going to run grab it real quick. They made a standalone Saturn V model, and assuming it's the one that comes with that kit if the rocket is included. Now, I don't know anything about the kit because I couldn't find a picture, but here is the artwork, and it looks wildly too fat. It almost looks like that follow-on to Saturn, which had a much bigger booster section. And it could just be the way the artist drew it, or maybe the model shaped like that. I don't know. But it's I mean, actually, the rocket on the trailer, even though we never laid them down like that, the rocket on the trailer is shaped more correctly than the one that's just the standalone model rocket. Now, it's got the exact same artwork for the lunar module, so I am assuming that it's what's in the box with this other one, if that's, in fact, does come with a rocket. But I'll tell you this much: if I ever see either one of these kits at a reasonable price and they're complete, I might have to pick them up. Whether they're good or not, it's just the fact that it's just so different. And
If you could
Just for
find
the
that
box
video,
alone.
it
what's
would
that?
be interesting if you could contact the artist, because the artist's signature is down there, and get some information about why he did this. That would be interesting.
Oh, Kyoto, I think. That's well, Ken. This was done in '69, so it was done 55 years ago. Assuming the artist was in his mid-20s, he'd be 90 years old now, if he's still with us. And if that's who I think it is, he passed away a few years ago. And that's the ScaleMate says it marked as 69, so which means the artwork's probably done a year before. Would be interesting though. I do actually have a couple of books on the Japanese artists that were given to me by Glue Troopers. That could be in there. Yeah, the Saturn Tosad tractor has USAF on it. Yeah.
That's why I said something new from the Air Force. Of course,
Yeah.
when it launches, it's going to rip the fins right off.
Well, you know, I'm not sure, but you notice there's a real disparity in the size of the astronauts. I wonder if the artist snuck in a Japanese astronaut.
I don't know. Judging by the hair and the ears, it looks like it's that kid from the Munsters.
Eddie Munster goes to space. But this is just we're just getting started on the Japanese craziness. We have much more to go, boys and girls. And trust me, it turns in the further down this rabbit hole we go, the more of an acid trip this turns into.
Do we have any Japanese members on tonight?
Well, if we do, all I can say is please forgive us, ignorant Americans.
Maybe they can explain some of this stuff to us.
This meeting will end in 15 minutes.
Yeah, I
Oh,
just
lovely.
got that.
With your current team's plan, okay. I'm sitting there clicking on OBS, can't do anything with it. By the way, Ken, your picture disappeared again.
Yeah, no, I'm eating.
Oh, okay. Thank you for that.
I
Thank
didn't
you for
think y'all.
sparing it. Thank you for sparing us that visual.
Yeah, I didn't think y'all would want to see that.
I'm going to have to see about getting a commercial version of this or something. Okay. So, let's go to some more of the wild stuff down here. That was Imai. Now let's take a look what came from the sick minds at Aoshima. Okay. Just kind of more of the same weirdness. You okay there, Steve?
Yeah. Changing weather.
Yeah. So, I don't know what the pink Buddha thing is. Uwo. Good heavens. This stuff's just insane. And I don't read Japanese, so I don't know what a lot of this. Giant Robo, bottom right. Okay, well, yeah, that's what it is. The one that baffles me more than anything else is the spaceship made out of office supplies, dead center. That's an office chair with what looks to be a calculator, an adding machine, and a tape player, a pencil sharpener with a pencil gun sticking out the top.
Nathan says, "Don't be cheap, Max. Just buy the upgrade package."
I will. I know. I can be so silly about that. You know, drop $200 on a vintage model, but won't spend $200 a year to get unlimited, Teams meeting or whatever. I also needed to get the professional version of YouTube. That'll probably up the game here a little bit as well. And, well, we'll see. That's what the hell is a riverboat or something? I can't.
Which one are you looking at?
Let me. This. Okay, we have what looks like a kid's toy cartoon Mechanico riverboat barge on top of a flying desk chair with a Dalek. You know, it's like an office. Somebody made a Dalek out of office supplies.
It's like a transformer office equipment.
Why not? I'm just like, think about it. Grown-ups came up with these ideas. I want you to remember that. I mean grown people.
It's a robot pencil sharpener.
And I'm going to scroll.
A flying robot pencil sharpener. For when the Russians are in space because they use pencils.
And I'm scrolling over here to the right to this blue character. And you'll see him just a second. He's in blue with red go-go boots and a cape. No capes! And what appears to be like he's singing his rendition of I'll Always Love You.
Japanese Elvis.
I mean, yeah, okay, America's Got Talent, I guess. We scroll down to Giant Robo, very original name. And next to that, I don't know what the heck we have next to that. It's like a drunken fever dream. Boy, if I'd really stopped to think about the pictures I was uploading, I probably should have had myself a cocktail. But actually, it's not too late. The evening is young.
I like the one with the little TV in his stomach.
Yeah. I think it's from a cartoon series.
Looks like he's from the Wallace and Gromit Trip to the Moon video.
I was thinking Wall-E, but now this flying boat that looks like a pelican with the propeller up on the tail, you'll see here in a few seconds, is actually kind of cool in its own way. That looks like something that could actually sort of work. And it's 1/72 scale. It should be coming into your view here now.
There you go.
And I don't know what universe that's from, but that's actually kind of cool.
Good luck getting it to fly.
Well, I could see that on, what is that cartoon, Tailspin? That looks like something Baloo would be happy to get his hands on.
But then again, they're probably looking at the flying sun and going, how the heck is that going to fly?
Yeah,
How's
really.
that going to fly? We'll do this. This will work better.
It's got wings.
And trust me, guys, this is but a random sample. There is more to come. Okay, now we're going to a company that did not do too many of these. We're going to go to Otki. And they actually only did a few. They only had like 20 in the science fiction category.
What's interesting is some of these people recognize where these models are, what show they're in.
Well, I figure because we don't get in America, they may get it in the UK or Canada or someplace. I mean, a lot of this stuff goes into syndication, so it could be anywhere. And and it's like that upper left, the Thunderstrike, that actually looks pretty cool.
Yeah, it does.
And the rocket car does too. The robot on the right.
Michelin Man.
The Michelin Man. This is the Michelin Man's nemesis, bias ply tire man.
The ground says, "What a total waste of styrene."
Yeah, really. So now we're gonna get into some individual kits, and let's see what we have first. All right, and today we have Ingram, I believe is what this is called. And it's one of their Gundam style. And he's carrying a revolver. I mean, basically he's carrying an oversized Colt Python. And the thing is, he's actually a pretty cool looking robot. But then they come with this thing to the right that looks like... I have no idea what that looks like. It looks Is he throwing a golf ball? I mean, is he shooting bowling balls? I know the picture will be up in a second here. I don't know what to make of that.
That's Robot Commando. That was a toy in the late 50s, early 60s by Ideal.
So apparently, somehow, they just got their hands on it and started making it.
Yeah, they just knocked it off and made a model out of it. Yeah, in his arms, they rotated from front to back and flung these black balls out of his hands in the toy, and then the red top of his head opened up and there was a missile in there and it shot from inside his head. Very lifelike.
Like you do.
Couldn't sell those today. You could be
Well, I figured today you get them at a gumball machine, but I mean, it'd be cool. It shoots gumballs. If that was a candy launcher or a Pez dispenser, they'd sell.
You'll shoot your eye out, kid.
Well, then there was this thing. I don't even know what to say about this.
Okay.
I got nothing. I mean, R2 with Bugs Bunny ears. I just. Again, wow. Grown-ups came up with this.
There we go.
Look like baseball bats.
Why not?
And to make it even worse, it's molded in yellow.
Yeah, because I see so much yellow in the actual model. Oh, really? Is that any worse than what's his name's ship from Andor? You know, that basically lightsabers stick out the side. He spins around a circle and chops up TIE fighters. I mean, really, guys, you could not get out of the way of a sword in a spaceship.
Yeah. Oh, Jim says it. Look, he has wine bottles for ears.
Okay, now you're cooking with gas.
And he has a minor little tiny R2 in front of him.
Yeah, that's R0. R minus.
I wonder if that's the young R0.
It's his baby. A little bitty baby. Then there's Round Varian Gash. I mean, I am trying so hard not to say something wrong here. Again, well, I don't know. In a world of Gundam and stuff, actually, it doesn't look that out of place.
No.
It's like
that.
It's almost like they're trying to be serious.
That looks like the old Robotech kits that Revell imported, like in the 80s.
Well,
remember those?
Then you put something else beside it, like this Patak. Again, what is this? Is this like a slot machine? Self-propelled slot machine? I know you guys will see it in a few seconds here. They got a real thing for ripping off the R2 units. I got nothing.
Tommy Anderson says, and they say our country is violent.
No, the crowd has a better comment. He says, these kit designers full rode the short bus.
Again, grown-ups, I'm assuming the one on the left is out of some kind of cartoon franchise or something. The one on the one on the right, like you say, out of some kind of Robotech franchise. But this is what this is what they were schlubbing on kids, and these things they have people that still collect them because believe me, if you find one of these things on eBay or something, you'll pay through the nose for it. And let's get this one up here.
Bill Campbell says, yes, it does. I had some of them. They got sold in my first purge.
But Buddha Killa says, remember, these are kids coming from the country that brought Hello Kitty to the world.
Yeah. I am really trying not to say something inappropriate or insensitive.
Very easy.
Yeah. Okay, move along.
It does.
And speaking of robots that, don't make any sense, you may notice that he's got a pair of little eyes up at the top of that tiny little head.
Yes, on each side.
Yeah, like you do.
They must have better drugs in Asia.
Oh yeah.
Well, at least the next thing coming up, I can sort of get behind. It reminds me of something that the only the helicopter blades remind me of something the Three Stooges had in one of their movies, but it looks like a Russian tank turned into a submarine, and I gotta admit, it's actually not all bad.
I'm looking at the thing it's fighting.
Oh yeah, I didn't even notice that before. And apparently, judging by how bad it's splintering its belly open, that's one heck of a lace. Now, I want you to explain something to me. It's got this gigantic gun, yet the guy's got to crawl out of the hatch and expose himself to fire the close-in laser. Oh, crap, guys. All right, everybody. I'm hoping you're still hearing me because our team session just timed out. So I'm going to start another one. In the meantime, let me just real quick. Okay. And move. Oh, somehow I clicked off the audio input here. They should have us now. Okay.
Natasha says maybe something needs to pedal faster to get the sound going.
MS Teams is in the well, this says the mic is turned on. Oh, somehow I clicked off. There we go. Yeah, I had somehow managed to click off the. I'm still using the Yeti. That's where the sound's coming through. That way I can put it between us, and with the speakers turned up, we're all balanced out fairly well. So okay. So anyway, we're back. We are operationalish. Alrighty. No Teams. I think it gives you an hour or 40. Yeah, which will carry us to the end. My wife and I are going to rewatch The Batman tonight because we're going to start watching the Penguin series. The one bad thing about being on camera is I got my fingers away from your nose. I can hear. Now Herman says he can hear. I haven't had any, so that ain't wrong. Yeah, 5x5. Hang on just a second. Oh, I forgot I'm not using that camera.
And now it goes dark.
No, you don't want to see what's happening here. Okay, we're all good. So back to models. Let's see. I think we had a few pictures left. Well, that's because basically I've got the speaker going through the microphone. This is, I'm not sure why it wasn't picking it up, but.
Everybody's saying that I'm
yeah.
I'm audible but low.
All right. So I'm gonna have to actually start writing settings down. Okay, so the
look at this time, kid.
This is what you get when you have Japanese Batman with no Robin. I mean, no, yeah. Oh, I don't know. So he's got a Roman helmet, the Bat boat, being chased by basically a old version of Ibera, and it's all that could not be more Japanese if it tried. Although it's not bad. I mean, yeah, it's kind of cool looking. I'm going to assume more toy value than anything else.
If you picture if you built all these things and put them on your shelf, and then people came into your house and they get ready to put you.
I tell you exactly what they'd do. They would look at you and go, "So, where are your children, and why do you keep their toys on the shelf?" But yeah, sort of. I can see that.
It's the president.
Well, the Japanese definitely do things in a weird way, and there is. What's that?
It's probably a cultural thing.
I'm sure it is, but it's. They definitely lean towards the fantastical. I mean, like the overly fantastical. When you take what they do and rein it in a little bit, you come up with some halfway decent science fiction, but sometimes they just don't know when to back off,
Everybody's going to have nightmares tonight for looking about the sun.
And not the good kind.
I love the Japanese. They'd be forever strange to us.
But you got to give them credit, though. I mean, let me.
And he's not the first one to say something.
Okay.
Yeah. Says our sound's not working. Okay.
Well, there's something else I could try. Let's see. Who's caught? Oh, okay. God, we're having so much trouble with sound for. Never mind what I thought. What I thought was stupid, which was just kind of my raison d'etre. Let me see something here. Mike. One, two. Okay. No, okay.
You're really loud.
I'll back up here. Let's see if this works any better.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Yeah.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Let me turn that down a little bit. Okay, try it again.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
5,
Yeah.
4, 3, 2, 7.
Okay, let's give folks a little bit of time to respond. And oh, wait a minute. I think I know what. Hold on. All right. I think the sound will be better now.
Okay.
Okay, so here's the deal. Somehow I got the sound flipped on, but it had gone to the Realtek, which is a cheap microphone built into the computer. I just switched back to the Yeti. That would explain why the quality had gone down so bad. That and my overall incompetence. Let's see.
This show, who needs drugs?
Okay, okay, that's better. Thanks, Trey. Thanks, B. So
Babbling brook in the background.
What?
I don't know, but I forgot I gotta take this.
You got it much better.
Yeah, I've got us back on the Yeti microphone instead of the. When I had to turn it back on, it defaulted back to the cheapy built into the base of the unit here. So.
Okay, well, it says we're all better. We're all 5x5 now.
All right. Now, I was talking about the 1/32 scale Revell kits earlier, and I have a couple here. Now, this is the box top to the Wildcat that I built, and still my favorite box art ever, the Spitfire. And I tell you what I love about this: not only the camouflage and everything, the blue sky, the way the sun's bouncing off of it, but that the white belly, that Spitfire breaking off to go after that 109 is. I just think that box art is perfect. That is, to me, that is box art perfection. Can't do better. And there have been a lot of great box arts. And the other one I said I built this one also, the 109, and you can feel the winter cold in that. You know,
Who did that one? Who did the artwork?
These three are all Jack Linwood, and he did all or most of their 1/32 scale series box art, and the ones he's best remembered for. Now, this is what the box art went from and to. Okay. Now, don't get me wrong. This is not bad box art. I don't want to imply that there's anything wrong with it, but to me, I don't know why it just doesn't quite capture like the older one does. It's almost like it's a little, I don't know why, I can't even tell you why. And there's nothing wrong with it, but there is one thing you'll notice. You know, Jack painted it at an angle where he didn't have to show what's supposed to be on the tail. So, you know, which is clever. It gives you a pass, you know, without being historically inaccurate. But these guys, and of course it's under the instructions of their bosses, you know, we all know what's emitted from the tail. You know.
No, Durno's model builds. Oh wait a minute, no. Somebody sent you Dunbine pictures.
Dunbine? What?
Ricky Wagner. Bring
Okay.
up the
Oh, there it
Dunbar
is.
pictures. I sent you of the 83 and 2024 versions,
Oh, okay.
whatever those are.
Well, let's take a quick look so I can get the email has come through. We've been having issues getting email through of late. Steve it took me a couple of hours. Yeah, they're not here yet. It may, you know, I think with the hurricane, I'm just guessing that, you know, there's just a lot of traffic out there. You know, spam's empty and it's not in the inbox, which I got to be honest, it took me 2 hours to get your email, Steve. And when they came through, like you said,
Yeah.
they all dumped through at once.
Yeah.
Now, I was curious, so I went ahead and opened the kit. Well, I'd opened it a while back because I stole some of the decals earlier for another build. But I was looking at the actual kit, and from what I can tell, based on my memory, this is the exact same kit they were making in the 60s. I mean, they may have improved the mold a little bit, but all the components look the same, about the same quality. And they still have those two-piece pilots that are front and back. You have to glue them together like this. And it's not that it's bad, it's just, you know, it's not, they use pretty much the same guy for everything, which is no shock. But basically this 80s kit looks like it's the exact same mold and everything from the 60s, probably cleaned up, but same engine components and stuff. And it's not a bad kit. I'm not maligning. I'm just saying, you know, you would have thought 20 years later they would have spruced it up some, and there may be some improvements in there, but
Ricky said I sent the pictures over a week ago.
oh, okay. Well, then I probably do have them. Let me. They're oh, if those pictures are in the viewers build, then. Wait a minute. I think I know what he's talking about. Hold on. These kits are.
The crowd wants to know if it's true that you were the stunt double for the skipper on Gilligan.
I'm not allowed to talk about that under union contract.
Okay.
Let's see. It might have been a 3. Okay, I don't think that's a Dunbine, but
If you have a date, that would be better. It'd make it a lot easier.
No. I'm looking at my pictures from the viewers build. I've started working on it because it may be the one that was sent for the 3 of Kind build, because I know you sent some that were. Let me go group 3017. There's so many pictures here.
Super PZL says, I want Ken's boat as his background. I would do that if I could get a picture imported into this thing, but it won't let me do it on this version.
I think I found one of them. Okay. I'm about to make a complete idiot out of myself. Fortunately, I have no fear of doing that.
Bill Campbell says, Max, out of curiosity, did you get the photos from Torcon?
Yes. Thank you. Let's see. Image. I think this is the Dunbine. Let me hold on. There. Boy, you got to go through a lot of clicks to get down to FG.
Dave, you got promoted.
Yes, I saw that.
You got what?
He's a professor.
Yes, you're the skipper, Max. Ken is Gilligan, and I'm the professor.
Okay, I'll go for that. I think I'm not sure if this is what they're talking about. We talk about the Dunbine because this is not my wheelhouse, but you guys will see it in a few seconds. But this may be the thing. If it's
What is that?
It's Japanese.
Oh.
I really
Okay.
don't know. I don't know anything about this universe, so I cannot offer any intelligent information on that, other than I think it's part of the Japanese kids. You know, what?
get a picture of a sandbar and you'll see Ken's boat. Oh, thank you.
I didn't tell him, Ken. I swear to God.
Been there, done that.
Been there, done that. Got the T-shirt.
Herman says these models did not quite make it through the transporter properly.
It's part of the line, you know. It's just there's another. Here, I'll show you another one that's from that same universe.
Looks like Google's Androids got caught in a microwave.
Let's see. Hold on. Okay, I was just there. Here we go. Okay. I believe they're part of this universe with all the girl figures. The superhero Japanese anime. That's the word I'm looking for. And these
Robert says, and people buy this stuff?
Oh, by God, man, that stuff sells by the millions. This is some of their most popular stuff.
Ricky says, these are my Maritoys 3 builds.
There you go. Maritoy. I actually see these things at, I think Hobby Lobby. But no, this stuff's super popular. Anime's huge, man. And the models and everything's. I hate to tell you guys this, but this and the Bandai, the anime and the Gundam, they outsell everything by an unbelievable ratio. This is some of the top selling stuff out there, and which is one of the reasons the production quality is so high. I wish our model airplanes and cars had the level of production quality, because I built a couple of these, and they go together like a Swiss watch. I mean, they're a lot of tight joints and everything, and to get them to work and everything's a trick. But no, that's some of the highest, and they also come with a bunch of different options on different hairs and eyes and every faces and stuff. And what surprised me was when I put them together was they, you're like, oh man, there's going to be all kinds of problems. You put them on the face, no, it looks great. I could never paint something as well as, and they come pre-painted, and those things are huge. And I imagine they sell a dozen of them in Asia for every one they sell to the Western audiences. But
there's a couple of questions about the 3 of a kind build.
Okay, what are they?
Did you extend the date? When is it due?
It was due the end of this month, but I know a couple of people are still trying to get their builds done, so I can wait till I get back from my next trip, which would be. Plus, to be honest, I actually just yesterday started working on the video with what I've got, and it's turning into a whopper. I got a lot of submissions, so I don't even if I tried to hold to that date, I wouldn't have the thing done until, let's see, I go 5. So I would say I probably won't have it done before October 10th. So if you get something in before then, and I've got the video done, I can at least tack it on the end. So I would say we can push it back to October 10.
Ricky says I sent the pictures on September 15th.
Yeah, I think those were the pictures he was. And those are from the 3 of a kind build. So he had 3 of everything, and I need to put out the next viewer's build, because that bin's starting to get full, and if I wait too long, these things get they get too big for me to handle. I think it was the Canadian build or one of them. I had to break it into sections because I wound up with so much stuff, and now we're not quite. We have one more little jewel, and this is out of Japan also. And I talked to Dan Monroe about this, and he got right back with me. God bless him. He must have been on the computer when I sent it to him. But okay, here we go.
Robert says, put up those Spice Girl models again.
Okay. Let's put those over there. That would be good to a Spice Girls tune, wouldn't it?
Well, that looks familiar.
Okay. Now, real quick, I saw this is from a company. I told Dan it was from a company called Comet Productions, but it's Comet Miniatures. They're out of, it says UK, all right? So, but the YM3 Lost in Space robot. And I sent him an email and said, Dan, what the heck is the YM3? What's the story? And he shot me back an email immediately and said that in Japan they could not get the rights to use the name B9. So they just call it the YM3. So in Japan, the robot is YM3, which is a new one on me. And that's like his official designation in Japan.
And that got him around the rights problem.
Yeah, well, apparently. And you can see that it looks like a small resin kit, a couple of pieces. And the company, according to Scalemates, they ceased operations. Comet Miniature ceased operations about 11 years ago. So, I mean, some talented guy carved up a mold for him. I'm really impressed by people that can make patterns and molds and things. That is a very exact science. But the thing is, it says YM3 from Lost in Space. So, it's not like inspired by. I mean, so either they had the rights to make the robot and not use the name, or they just said, screw it, we're making the robot, and okay, we won't use your name. I don't know, but they used Lost in Space. So there's your weird little bit of trivia for the day. And thanks to Dan over at Movies, Music, and Monsters for getting back to me that so quick. Thank you, Dan. I appreciate that. Hope to have him on the show again sometime. So,
does this kit have a clear dome part?
I don't know. I didn't see one in the packet. I'm going to say no, but that's a total guess on my part. You could probably put just glue a cough drop on top.
Steve Jarvis says, my driver's license says 65. My wife thinks I'm more like 14.
All our wives think we're like 14.
Hey, she thinks you're 14. Take it. That's a win. I tell my wife, I know you married a 12-year-old. She snickers, goes 8.
Yeah.
Have you guys ever heard of a YouTube channel called?
Ryan Knapp says Comet Miniatures was a British company.
Yeah, well, they had a British flag on the thing, so I figured it was. But since the Japanese didn't have the rights, I'm assuming that they didn't either, and they just went with that for the same reason the Japanese did. Or inference on my part.
Brian says, just paint it with clear paint.
There you go. There was a, you know what? I'm not even gonna go there. There was a guy out there. I forget the name of his Stugpanzer or something like that was the name of his channel, but he re-edited down to like 6 minutes and redubbed Girls in Panzer. And this version is not for the kids, but it was one of the. I was crying. I was laughing so hard. Stug Metal Man or something. Oh, great! Now I got to go look it up. But if you guys, if you like anime or you like tanks or you like comedy, this will crack you up. And
Like Garfield, my daughter put it like, this is the 36th anniversary of my 39th birthday.
It's my gosh, everybody and their brother stole this guy's stuff. Gunmetal, that's it. I think that yeah. Gunmetal is the YouTube channel, and it is so wrong. Look for like the Girls in Panzer abridged. I thought it was something like Stug Metal Gun or something like looks like a lot. Yeah, I think it's Gunmetal. It looks like a lot of people have been stealing his stuff, though, because I see it reposted by other people. Gunmetal Stu, that was what he called himself, but apparently Gunmetal's the name of the channel. And each one of these things has about 500,000 views, but it's bloody hilarious. And when I was doing my Godzilla versus the Wehrmacht thing, I needed some footage of tanks. So I was like, footage of German tanks, and I found this cartoon, and the tanks were so accurately drawn. I was like, hey, if I grain this up and use it in black and white, I can use some of this. I was like, hey, why is there a teenage girl driving the tank? It's like, what is this? And that's how I stumbled onto Girls and Panzer. And my wife's like, what are you watching? I don't want to know. I was like, I was scratching my head like, what? I have no idea what I'm watching. But the what's his name? Nicholas Moran, the chieftain from the Chieftain's Hatch, was actually one of the advisors on the technical aspect of the whole thing. He works for World of Tanks as well as being a now lieutenant colonel in the Army Reserves, and he's a tanker, and so he was there to make sure they had all the details right. And again, it's a Japanese production. Originally, it's all in Japanese, and the Japanese have a thing for detail. As anyone who's ever built a Tamiya Hasegawa or half these other models, a Fujimi kit can tell you, the level of detail gets into the absurd at times. But I see everybody staring down. Are you guys reading comments or something? Or?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Some of them are interesting. Some of them we can't repeat.
Nah. Well, Urai. I'm an Urai man.
So a lot of them are talking about their age.
Yeah. Well, unfortunately, it breaks. I have to be careful because when I see the young people that are interested in building models when I'm at the hobby shop or Michael's, I'm keenly aware that you want to encourage them to build models. At the same time, the last thing you need is the middle-aged guy going, "Hey kid, you like toys?" It's kind of a lose-lose no matter which way you go. So
Sluggo says, "Too bad we don't live by each other. We could build a modeling tree fort for seniors."
Yeah, but then we'd fall out of it.
That was exactly what I was saying. Well, we're going to call it the Broken Hip Express.
Yeah.
No, you just get an elevator, put it in. That's all the problem, right? Tree fort with an elevator.
You're getting older when you go into buildings and seeing the handicap ramp no longer bothers you.
Should I go that way? Yeah.
Or you have a handicap sticker in your car.
I do. Hey, I had a hip replaced. I just had that puppy renewed. And but you got to get a doctor's note. You don't have to pay anything for it, but you do have to get a doctor's sign off. Of course, we call in Florida, we call handicap stickers, part of the housewarming gift, because that's the first part of any parking lot to fill up around here.
Well, you got more handicap spots than regular spots in parking lots.
Man, we need them because all the cheaters. But
Ricky Ragnar says, "Don't ever look into Strike Witches, World War II aircraft fantasy world."
Oh, too late. There's also one with jets.
Mark wants to know if we're going to do a California themed build. Yeah, as soon as they make kits of homeless people.
Oh. That's Steve's Model Mania at. Hey, Steve, real quick, I was finally able to post that tour of that hobby shop. Why don't you talk about that hobby shop in West Jefferson a little bit? Give him a quick shout out here.
A few weeks ago, I was in West Jefferson, North Carolina, looking at potential places to relocate to, but based upon the hurricane damage, I don't think it's there anymore.
Ouch.
But there is a lovely little hobby store called the Hobby Barn on Jefferson Avenue. It's a great shop, real nice people. They have everything that you'd want. They have trains, they have RC, they have a huge amount of RC plane and car parts. I've never seen so many RC parts for planes or cars anywhere. They have a nice model kit section, real friendly people. Anything you'd ever want in the hobby store, they have. And if you're in the West Jefferson area, don't be afraid to stop in and ask for Roger, who is, as he puts it, the unpaid help. But it's a real nice old-time hobby store. It's very big, but they really have everything, and real friendly people. And yes, Ken, they have trains.
Yay!
So one
It's a
thing we
real
don't
hobby
have at
shop.
Hurricane Hobbies, he has those little Z-scale things, but he doesn't have and he really hasn't got any room for it. He's pretty much at capacity with what he's got. But
He's got a lot of really cool
he
stuff.
does. He really does. And I hope business keeps up. He might be able to expand into trains and other stuff, but I don't think that's on the agenda for right now. By the way,
I don't think there are any model railroad clubs in Jacksonville anymore. They haven't been.
no, I don't believe so.
They went out of business years ago, because I was a member of one of them when I used to live there.
Hey,
He needs he needs a
somebody's
bigger store.
got their volume turned up. We're getting an echo
Correct,
feedback.
Steve.
Yeah, I know what's going on there.
Somebody got their phone on, or so you listen, or
No, it's just something. I got knocked off and then.
yeah. I need to check something real quick because
What'd you change?
I didn't touch the thing.
I got knocked off and I went into the browser.
Oh God, it sounds like I'm in the Twilight Zone now.
How's that?
Hey Trey, real quick, I can look it up, but Model Palooza is October 4, 5, and 6, right? Because I have to go to work Dark 30 Saturday. That's the Montego Bay trip, and that's why there will not be a live stream that weekend. Because unless I can do one from Montego Bay, I can give it a shot, but I wouldn't count on.
Hey, you get some of the locals.
Okay, 28.
No, I wouldn't say model railroading is going the way of the dodo. It's still popular with
Oh no, it's still very popular.
yeah, the model railroad club that I belong to, or used to belong to in Deerfield Beach. They got so many people wanting to join, they've had to close the membership.
I guess you're too far away now to be able to.
It's a 45-minute drive each way.
Yeah. Yeah. Well. Yeah.
No, I take that back. It's an hour and a quarter. It's an hour and a quarter drive each way. So,
yeah, but now that you have your boat.
Yeah, the boat is taking up all my time. Yes. I was just out there this afternoon working on it. But it's a labor of love. I really enjoy working on it.
Okay.
The biggest problem with model trains is you need a lot of room.
Oh no, Model Palooza is the 11th through the 13th. Okay.
It depends on what kind of layout you have. If you have a traditional one that goes round and round, yeah, you could use up a lot of room. But if you do a switching layout, you could actually put something kind of interesting in a fairly small area.
Still a lot of room.
Yeah, Ken. There's a model trains. Then the one way you can have a model train layout is to do it the way Marty did in Alaska. Do you remember?
In the basement?
Mm-hmm. But he had everything going around the walls, and he had 3 layers high.
Well, half of it was 3, the other half was 2.
Okay, but Marty's model train layout basically went around the periphery of the room, so you could walk around in the middle to get to everything. And he had, I guess, what were they, helixes or whatever to get up to the higher levels.
He had a helix on one end, yeah.
I mean, it was very space efficient. It was one of the best layouts I've seen. And because he painted all the walls differently at different levels, at one point you're going through sunny California, and then you're, in the Midwest and up a helix, and then you're in Alaska or wherever.
No, he modeled the Darien Pass, I think it is. I probably got the name wrong, but it's a pass through the Rockies.
Okay.
He modeled that from Burbank through the pass over to the other side.
Okay. The point is that he had terrain changes and everything else. It was really cool. I thought he had a real nice. And his wife brought us coffee and cookies, and he was like, "Woman, we're trying to run a railroad here." He had his schedule and everything, and I was like, "Oh man, you got to run trains with Marty. I mean, you're going to work. You know, okay, you got to pick up here and drop those logs." And I was like, "Woo, woo, woo!" Yeah.
Oh yeah, you had assignments. You had to take cars from one place to another.
You're holding up the Amtrak.
Garden railways are good. Outside.
Yeah.
They're popular over in the Tampa area.
They're popular, believe it or not, in Colorado.
Oh yeah, because you got a lot more room out there to build.
I mean, they're extremely popular out in Colorado.
Well, as Ken can tell you, one of the bad ideas that I had was at the old houses before I was married, is I wanted to buy one of the trains that you actually, little like kid train that you actually ride. You lay the track, but you actually ride in it. And
was that to go from room to room in the house?
No, that was for outside.
Okay.
But what do you call those things, Ken?
I think that's 1.5-inch scale.
But there's a name, like, I forget what it is, yard trains or whatever. Anyway, mini trains or something. But I just let me fun. I think, because we had my nieces and nephews were young and everything. And I saw one for sale for like $4,000 on the track and everything, had a bunch of cars. And of course, I don't know, they got a 3-horsepower Briggs and Stratton or something. It'd been hard pulling me along, but
we have done the lawn with it.
You remember that F3 engine that that guy in Alaska had? What was his name? That took us to his house and
that's
gave
Marty.
us
That's what I was talking about, Marty, right?
No, that's not Marty. No, there was another guy.
The one that had the president.
Gave us the tour of the Alaska Transportation.
Yeah. I actually have that video still up. Our tour of the Alaska Transportation Museum, which is mostly outdoors, but that was an eye opener. You don't appreciate just how much stuff. Trains. They had planes. They had aircraft out there. It's all kept outside. The air's so dry. The problem is the snow, obviously, but they had an F-102. They had I think an H-9 Shawnee. Helica H-21, C-123, whole kind. They have a bunch of airplanes, and they have a bunch of trains.
Real trains.
Real stuff. I mean, yeah. Barns full of all kinds of equipment, stuff I'd never seen before because it was unique to Alaska. That was an interesting visit.
Oh yeah, that was, and we were there all by ourselves. He had the keys to the place.
Run around, have fun, don't hurt yourself. We're climbing all over the trains and everything. And they had that locomotive that had been part of the military's secret command structure, so it was sort of painted like an Alaska rail train and sort of wasn't, and...
Oh yeah, that was a modified RS-1, so that in Europe they have several different gauges, and if they wanted to go to a country that had a different gauge, they could re-gauge the rails. The wheels, so it would go on to whatever rail in that country that they wanted to, and they lowered the roof so it would go through every tunnel.
All the tunnels of Europe, yeah. And they modified the paint scheme. You remember? Because they were not allowed to make it painted up like an Alaska rail train exactly. So they changed the angles and everything, but that way it was sort of camouflaged from Soviet satellite observation while not actually being painted as... it was a little deception here, a little deception there. And that was an interesting locomotive. What amazed me was, as big as locomotives are, how tight the cockpits are on them.
Well, that particular one was because they had to lower the roof. But you remember the F3 that we got into?
Oh, yeah. That was pretty spacious, yeah. And
you ever seen the videos of the place from Germany in the building? That's like the largest train layout in the world.
Oh, yes.
Oh, the Wunderland?
Yeah.
Yeah, a friend of mine at the train museum had a video, a CD video of that thing. It was,
and they have planes that land and take off at the airport.
Now wait a minute. Yeah, that's right. And that is cool. That is a ton of work. Very German.
And boats that actually navigate through water, real water.
Yeah, that was. There's a point in time, just buy a train, a plane, and a boat. It would be easier.
Buy a city.
But
Someday I'd like to fly over and see that. I think that would be really cool to see that in person.
yeah, it would be. And
One of my friends saw it. He was like, he couldn't say enough about it.
there's some
He's
American
a
billionaire that's trying to make one bigger, or was, because he was kind of like, we have turn. You can get up to 60 minutes, 15 minutes left. Well, we're wrapping up in 15 anyway, because I promised the wife I would be done on
The
time.
Batman awaits.
The Batman awaits, and can't have your penguin till you watch your Batman. So, anyway, one other thing I was going to get into real quick was this is a 148 scale Pro Modeler Stuka, and I built the Stuka kit in 148 scale for Monogram. This Revell kit, with a lot of people said, oh, they just took the Monogram kits and repopped them with a few extra parts. And then I started, and I was shocked when I opened it up. Oh, this is great. But it's made in Japan. I'm still not sure what the story is on that. A Monogram Pro Modeler, which was produced by Revell. It is not the old Monogram kit. It's far more parts and detail, separate cowlings and everything, and made in Japan. So I'm so confused. But I want to do a nice job on that one because I want this one to go, on the shelf in the house.
Go ahead, Ken.
Nathan says to pull Max down the track, you need a couple of big boys hooked together, one pushing and one pulling.
And the last thing.
For those who don't know about model railroading or model railroad at all, big boys are the biggest steam engines ever made.
Yep. Effectively, two steam engines welded together for all practical purposes.
Kind of. Actually, Jay Leno just has a video out on YouTube about the big boy, the one that's still running.
Oh.
Yes.
Well, this is the big 1/32 scale Revell Stuka late boxing. I never built the other one, and the parts look really nice and crisp, but you can see how big this thing's going to be when it's done. I mean, that's the width of that's nose to tail right there. It's a one piece. And it may just be a revamp of the old one they made back. I mean, it really doesn't look much different than the Messerschmitt and the rest of them, so I imagine it's just a cleanup of the mold and a redo of an old mold. But there's a reason people hang these from their ceilings. They don't have big enough shelves. But I am looking forward to getting that. I've always thought the Stuka was kind of a. My brother always said the airplane was so ugly it needed to be shot down, and of course the Royal Air Force happily accommodated them. But I always thought it was a cool looking airplane, and I was thinking, what a Stuka might have been good for after the war is crop dusting. It was low speed, extremely agile, could carry huge payload. You rip out the back and the belly and everything and put a hopper in there. The only thing is crop duster pilots don't like to have the hopper behind them because if they go in, they don't want to collapse on top of them. But if you got in the back, you wouldn't be able to see a diddly. You might have to raise the cockpit. But I thought it'd make a good crop dusting platform, and I thought about maybe taking one of the Stukas and converting it into a crop duster as a kit bash. And anyway.
Nathan says model railroading is the ultimate model building. You don't just build models, you simulate an entire world.
You do. And I think that's one of the reasons the model railroading is so popular is because, what is it Edward Herman said in Overboard, when he's at the end, when she comes back and he locks himself in the bridge, he's like, I'm a god when I'm at sea, and
what does that have to do with it?
Well, because Ken, when you have a model railroad, you are a god over your own land that you have created.
Kind of. The other thing that's interesting about model railroading is that they're models that move. They do something.
Yeah.
And it's an integrated. It's like a huge diorama with things that actually move in it.
Well,
and there's all different aspects of the hobby too. It's not just modeling, but scenicking, electronics, history, all kinds of stuff.
Well, there are different levels of modeling. Okay, first off, let's just start with the very basic. Buying a pre-made die cast. Maybe you screw a couple of parts on, stick the stand on it. It's a beautiful thing to look at, all right? but you have no investment in it other than what you paid for it because there's no sweat equity in it. It's something you just enjoy looking at. You get a kit model, a static kit model. You get the creative experience of building it, plus you get to style it the way you want it. And of course, including all your mistakes that you try to hide. But half the fun's in building. When you're done, you have this thing that you like the die cast, hopefully enjoy looking at. Unfortunately, they tend to be extremely fragile, but still, you look and realize, I did that. I built that. So there's not only a sense of enjoyment from looking at the art, but a sense of accomplishment knowing that you completed it. Then you go one further, like the model railroading, where it becomes all that plus interactive. Okay?
Yeah,
But
Nathan, go ahead.
the frustration factor goes up with each one of them. I have seen you flat on your back with a soldering gun or a current tester many a times trying to find why this switch won't work, and these complex layouts you guys make out with all the different switching. And so there. I mean, I know you're an engineering oriented guy and you love doing that kind of stuff and you're good at it. But for people who just want to run the trains, it's like,
Well, it's because of me. It's guys like me that people who just want to run trains can do that.
yes, which is why people like to be in train clubs. But you build one in your own house where you are God Almighty and every decision is undisputed, unless you're arguing with yourself. But whereas the train club, everything goes through committee, just like So, and then you get the RCs, which you and I have both done, which you're watching $500, $600 fly around in a circle for 4 or 5 minutes trying not to crash it. And the whole time you're as much as fun as you may be having, in the back of your mind or the front of your mind is don't crash, don't crash, don't crash. So, yeah, they all come at a cost. Everything, night tray.
Doesn't that go through your mind when you're at work?
Happy birthday, Connor. What? I wasn't listening. Again.
I said, doesn't that go through your mind when you're at work?
Well, that's my motto at work. Don't crash, don't crash, don't crash. I tell my FOs when I sit down in the cockpit, look, I'm easy to get along with. We should have a great time. There are only 3 rules. Don't hurt me. Don't scare me. Don't get me in trouble. That's it.
You tell that to the cabin attendants also?
Pretty much.
Well, that's their territory in the back. He doesn't have much to do with
Yeah, I wish that was the case. As you may recall, just a couple of days ago, we're all ready to go. And we get the big red flashy light because somebody decided to go burn a blunt in the lab. 200 people, 160 people got an extended delay. Well, 158 because 2 of them got yanked off. And now people are having to do reports and everything else. And I'm like,
Well, yeah, obviously, if something happens to the aircraft, yeah, that's your problem. But I'm talking about personnel problems until they escalate to the point where you need to get involved. That's their world back there.
If you remember the old sitcom Carter Country, I try to pull my best Mayor Teddy. Handle it, Roy. Handle it. And if you guys have never seen Carter Country, it's a kind of a cross between Mayberry and the Red Green Show.
And to bring up your point that you made a few minutes ago, Nathan made it as well, says you don't have to worry about flying something around that costs loads of money and crash it into 1,000 pieces.
That's why I really enjoy my RC tanks. And I thought nothing could happen to a tank. You already know what happened to my tank.
No,
I let my nephew drive it, and he took it over a hill. It rained like heck, so the ground's wet. He's running around like it's a tank. It's not like he can lose it. It goes over the hill, goes over the little burn, and it's at the RC field, ironically. And I hear bloop, and I see water go flying up in the air. And he drove it into about a 10-inch deep puddle that neither one of us saw. Like, it took me a week to dry that thing out, and some of the stuff still doesn't work. And I was kind of like, yes, you...
Well, with the model
we need
trains,
more robust electronics and waterproof.
Well, with the model trains, unless it falls off the layout, you don't have to worry about
You
braking.
run it fast enough around that hairpin, they can fly.
Like I said, unless it falls off the layout, you don't really not have to worry about it.
Yeah. I will say this much, Ken. Ken helped me build the layout and the table and everything. By God, that was the sturdiest table I've ever owned. That thing was so overbuilt.
Yeah.
It was my plan to duck under that thing in case of a tornado.
Yeah, that was pretty sturdy. It's probably still around somewhere.
Along with the poker table we built.
Yeah, that was a little bit overbuilt.
Yeah, we used to do all kinds of engineering projects, but
And then you made a really cool dining room table.
that's out in front of the Tarbis. What's left of it? Yeah, I use it for the part that was left over. We white glued the leg, the curved off, cut off corners, and trimmed the bottom, and just made an impromptu table out of it. And in fact, image, I think I got it. Might be this photograph.
Done with it.
I mean, it's starting. The weather's getting to it. It's starting to come apart now, just from years of abuse. But all things considered, it has done stalwart service, far better
You
than.
left it outside?
Well,
You
yeah,
left it outside?
I did. Oh, recently. Yeah, there it is. Yep. Okay. There it is, right there by the door, next to the steps. That's what's left of it. I didn't have a place to put it. Everything was getting so cluttered. So we moved here. I put it outside, and it didn't take long for Mother Nature to do a number on it. But son of a gun,
Okay.
And the nice thing was those pointy tips. It stuck down to the ground, so it's still solid as heck. So I use it for stacking stuff, just as a surface outside the Tarbis. I sometimes paint things on it. But
Okay.
now I get to buy a new top, since the one we got is pretty much looks like the sails that Davy Jones shipped. Anyway, so well, guys, I think we've got another one in the bag here. We got a couple of minutes left, and we're going to time out here in just a minute anyway on the teams. So I'll let everybody say their goodbyes, and we'll sign off for the evening.
Good night, guys. Thanks for chiming in. Hope that we had some informative information for you this week, as is usually not our mode of operation.
Hey, even a blind hog finds an acorn once in a while.
Thanks for coming by, guys. Even though we did have some technical difficulties, most of you hung in there, and we appreciate that. And most of you are still there till the end, which says volumes about the production quality of this particular.
And the quality of the good people who enjoy those low values.
Yes. Even though they're low, you guys still stick around, so we appreciate that.
That's half the fun, is watching all of our mistakes.
Good night, guys.
Guys, take care. We'll talk to you later. As always, model on.
Night, guys.
Night. Night, John Boy.
Another night of technical excitement.
You know it, baby. All right.
What's the matter, man? We're starting now.
All right. Oh, Steve already signed off.
We got kicked out.
Well. Okay.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, it looks like you already signed up.
Okay. Well, Ken, I appreciate it. Next week there won't be one, because I'll be in. I think it's next week I'm going to be in Jamaica. Let's see, today is 28th. Yeah, next week I'm gone. Next weekend. That's why I got I bid that Montego Bay. It helps if I turn off the microphone.
us when the band was hot. And now we're gonna give it one more shot. We're getting old, we must be crazy. We're putting on the makeup again. It covers up a bunch of wrinkled skin. You bring the bread, we'll make the gravy.
You keep on spending, we'll keep on singing. I used to rock and roll all night, but now my hair's turning gray. I have to get to bed by 9. Rub on a tube of Bengay.
I haven't picked up my guitar for a while, not since them hula hoops went out of style. It's been a while, I'm pretty rusty. We'll give you everything we got.
Would you like to see my liver spots?
Can you drive us home if we get sleepy?
If the shirts keep on selling,